Welcome to the Undisputed podcast. I'm your host, Jenny Taft. This podcast is the full show from today's episode of Undisputed from start to finish. They've got a busy slate, so skip Shannon. Let's get to it.
Welcome to Undisputed. I'm Jenny Taft with Skip Bayless and Shannon Sharp. Guys, how are we doing today?
Doing good.
Move over, phony goat. Kawhi got now, LeBron. This is now Kawhi Town out here in L.A. You know it, and I know it because you saw it last night, and it cost you 2 more cases of Diet Dew. The breakfast
You
of
realize that the Nuggets aren't the Lakers, right?
You picked them last night.
No, I'm just saying, you realize that, right? Okay, as long as you realize that, we're going to be okay. How you doing today, Skip?
I'm doing great.
I wasn't going to bring up the bet. Unfortunately, Shannon, you weren't
I get it back
close
tonight.
there.
Oh.
You weren't
I'll
even
get it back
close.
tonight.
You weren't even close. All right. Let's break down everything that we saw last night. The Clippers have taken a commanding 3-1 series lead over the Nuggets, thanks in part to Kawhi's game-high 30 points. It's the 6th time Kawhi has scored 30 or more already this postseason. Jokic at 26 for Denver, but Jamal Murray only had 18, and the Nuggets were held to just 85 points. And after the game, Kawhi said they still have work to do this series. So, Shannon, did the Clippers show last night that they are actually better than the Lakers?
No, they didn't show that. They just they came out really aggressive, Skip, and I really thought the first quarter kind of doomed the Nuggets. Even though they fought their way back into the ball game, they're still missing a lot of shots, a lot of easy shots. The Nuggets make it hard. I'm not the Nuggets. The Clippers make it hard on you because, Paul George is on the wing. You got Pat Bev running around, and you got Kawhi is playing well. But I just thought the Nuggets, Skip, they just can't seem to find a rhythm for extended stretches. They'll get hot. You score 12 points, and then the second quarter, they get hot, and then they go cold again. No one shot the ball well, the Nuggets or the Clippers. The Clippers was 42% from the floor. The Nuggets was 40%. The Clippers was awful from the three-point line, a little 29%, Skip. The Nuggets weren't much better at 33%. And that's why you see the score. The score was indicative of that, 96-85. But I think the thing is that Michael Porter Jr. touched on it last night, Skip. He's a guy that's a third scoring option. And he had it going in the first half, and then he comes out in the second half, and he only gets 2 shots. And he's like, yeah, we run the offense through Yoke, and Murray, gets a lot of touches. Skip, if you look at the Nuggets offense, it's a lot of dribble handoff. It's Yoke playing out of the post. He dribbled the ball, hands it off to Murray. Murray tries to make something. And so they're getting the lion's share of the shot. And they need you're not going to beat them. Doc Rivers and that staff are too good to let 2 guys. You're going to have to get a third scoring option. And I thought last night Michael Porter Jr. was playing really, really well. And we touched on it yesterday. He's going to have to be a viable scoring option. Defense still needs to be a lot to be desired, but I think that Skip is back. And so we still don't know how well he's able to work out like he really wants to. But for me, Skip, look, we know what Kawhi is. He's a Finals MVP twice over for a reason. He's a 2-time Defensive Player of the Year, although I don't believe he's still of that caliber. He's still a very, very good defender. But as a team, they got so many different options. Trez is starting to round back into shape. Lou Will is starting to look like Lou Will of old. So for me, Skip, look, they won the ball game. They had, 5, 6 guys in double figures. But I don't know if it's all that to do with maybe the moment of the Nuggets being in this situation because they came from 3-1 down. Maybe it's the moment. But I wasn't overly impressed. I was impressed with Kawhi. Still didn't shoot 50% from the floor. My guy shooting 58% from the floor in the playoff. But that's neither here nor there. That's not to...
I didn't get that stat.
Hold on.
I got your guy in the playoffs 48% from the floor.
Oh, go.
Yeah. No, the phony goat.
No, don't do that.
48.
Don't
I got it right here.
Well, it's not true.
I got Kawhi 52% from the floor in the playoffs and LeBron 48%.
58. But anyway, Skip, Skip, we're not gonna do this now. We're not talking about LeBron.
We're about to. Somebody's about to. There's somebody on this side of the table.
Kawhi did a little bit of everything yesterday. Rebound, score, facilitate, play defense, one of them kind of blocks that you don't like. The most sneaky kind up from behind. You don't like those kind of blocks, right, Skip?
I don't.
Okay. I was just saying. But, Skip, it's the Nuggets. And give the Clippers credit. They won the ball game. But I don't know if they think that the way they played against Utah was going to get it done against the Clips, because it won't. You're going to have to move the ball, and you're going to have to trust other people. Gary Harris Jr. was in foul trouble last night. But Skip, they got nothing. Jeremy Grant didn't give them anything. Paul Millsap didn't give them anything. And I don't know with two guys you're going to be able to beat the Clippers unless you got our two guys.
So are you sure you're not starting to get a little queasy over there about how good the Clippers are starting to round into form?
Skip, they scored 96 points.
Yeah.
96.
Wait a second. What did the other team score?
85.
85 points for the explosive Denver Nuggets? Are you kidding me?
Oh, my.
Are you kidding me? Do you realize that 85 was a season low for the Nuggets in the regular season?
Yeah, we do that. We do that. Have you seen what we've been doing to the Rockets? Have you? So let me ask you a question. Who do you think is more explosive, the Rockets or the Nuggets?
I'd say that's about a coin toss right there.
Really, Skip?
Did you see what Jamal Murray did to Utah? Formerly a really good defensive team and had its moments in that series.
Okay, I give you Jamal Murray. I give you James Harden. Who you want?
I'll take James Harden.
I bet you would.
But Jokic is
the
good. Best offensive big man there is.
He is.
Right?
And what about Russ?
Hey, you taking Gobert or Jokic? I think right? Okay.
Gobert gone. Gobert is gone.
My turn?
Yes, your turn.
Thank you. What you saw last night should horrify you because that team is just better than your team. That team is mentally and physically tougher on the defensive side of the ball. That team, when it decides to, can absolutely suffocate anybody, including LeBron and AD and company.
Really, Skip?
When they decide, did you see what they did in the first quarter? I knew they were going to do this because it's all about them watching the Lakers. The Lakers managed to survive thanks to Rondo. Right. Their game 3, they're up 2-1. And the Clippers, starting with Kawhi Leonard, said, watch this Lakers. And they came out in the first quarter. Do you see what the Nuggets scored in the first quarter?
Yes,
they scored a grand total of 12 points. Their season low in a first quarter.
Yeah, that doomed them.
I was just like, what? It was absolute annihilation, suffocation on defense. Kawhi, Paul George, everybody else just saying, no, you can't do this tonight. We're going to take you away. We're going to get up into you, Jamal Murray, like you've never been gotten up into. We're going to fight through the picks. It's going to be all pick and roll, you and Jokic, and you're going to not be able to find a crack anywhere. And they're like, what? And they're trying to throw it around the perimeter, and shot clock violations are going off. They had 3 of those last night.
They did.
So you start with the defensive end, but I want everybody to also focus on this. In these playoffs so far, the #1 scoring team in the playoffs is that team you saw last night, not the night before. The Clippers are #1 in scoring and #1 in field goal percentage as a team. Now, the Lakers are close. They're number 2 in score. They're second in both, actually. Okay? But I'm just saying, everybody thinks of kind of the new Showtime Lakers, LeBron and AD. This is the real Showtime, is the team that lives in the basement at Staples.
Oh, my goodness.
It's more Showtime than Showtime is.
No, it's not.
And you look at, even defensively in points allowed, the Lakers have been really good. They're 5th in the playoffs. I'm sorry, the Clippers are 5th, and the Lakers are 8th in points allowed in the playoffs. So the Lakers have been better than I thought they were going to be. But the Clippers, when they decide, the problem with the Clippers is, are we there yet? All they care about is your team. They are waiting for your team. So we saw, again, in microcosm, a little blip of it last night. They hold Denver to 12 in the first quarter, and then what happened? Foot off gas. Are we there yet? Yeah, we're there yet. We got these guys. And Michael Porter Jr. goes off in the second quarter, and Shannon's up there dancing.
I'm feeling good. I'm feeling good. I'm
real
feeling good. Yeah, I'm feeling good.
Let me have a little sip.
I'm feeling good.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay? Because Michael Porter scores 12 points. I think he made 4 threes, or he scored 12.
Yeah.
And it seemed like he made 4 threes in the second quarter. And then what happened in the second half to Michael Porter Jr.? He scored zilch.
Yeah, but he only took 2 shots.
Okay, and he took a shot at his coach and his team after the game that will not play well in that locker room.
It's not going to be well.
Because he's a young player. He's a first-timer.
He doesn't get how this thing goes.
Well, they didn't run any plays for me. Well, that may be true, but you can't say that publicly.
Correct.
Right?
That's something you go to Coach Malone behind closed doors and talk about.
You could go to Jokic if you want to and say, hey, help me out here. Just try to get me something over here. I'm just over on the wing. I'm like, see me?
Right.
And obviously in the second quarter, they started to move the ball around the perimeter, and he'd be open
wide
on the
open
edge.
three.
Yeah, okay, I got this. And I did think, these guys are explosive because they have a bunch of good three-point shooters, and Jokic can light it up if you let him get hot and get in some kind of funky rhythm that he has, sort of awkward rhythm that he has, or as Doc called it, goofy rhythm, because when he gets in that crazy Euro rhythm of his, it's just hard to stop it. So they just clamped down in the third quarter and even more in the fourth quarter when they held them to 22. And I just sat back, as I usually do after a Clippers game, in awe of the firepower they have on both sides of the court. They all, like, as Chris Broussard always says on the show, they got a bunch of dogs on that team, and they will come out and bite. This dog bites.
Well, Skip, when we talked about it, the thing is that the Clippers, they're going to, like, the first and the third quarter is where they try to take your will. Because you try to start the game, and so we try to take it, and then right out of the half, we try to take your soul. And if you see, that's what happened last night. They opened the game up. They took it in the first. Okay, the Nuggets worked their way back in it. Yep. So the Nuggets are feeling good. Man, we clawed our way back into the ball game. Okay, the first 5 minutes of the third quarter, and the Clippers are like, stop playing. Y'all don't belong here. Skip, maybe the moment is too big. I mean, maybe the moment for the Nuggets right now at this moment. Because like you said, they are a good team. They got good pieces. You look at Yoke, you look at Murray, Gary Harris Jr. can score the basketball. Michael Porter Jr. needs more opportunities. He played, what did he play last night? He played 33 minutes. That's plenty of time. But he needs more opportunities, Skip. He only had 8 shots. 2 came in the second half. He was 0 for 2, so he was 5 or 8 overall. So that tells you he's not getting enough opportunities because he can help some of the scoring load, take some of the scoring load off of Murray, off Jokic. But when you just dribble handoff between 2 guys, the Clippers are not going to let you beat them. Not like that. Not like that. And Murray, look, Kawhi is much taller. Kawhi is, what, 6'8"? Paul George 6'7". So they have a decided height advantage over Murray. So it's kind of hard for him to shoot the ball over them without it being contested. So, and you notice they were close last night. They did a better job of staying in front of him and not letting him get to the rack because they thought, I mean, Murray, when they won that game, game 2, Murray was getting to the rack. Murray was doing what he wanted to do, taking from Doncic, seeing how he got to the basket. But, Skip, I'm not going to overreact. And that's the one mistake I think a lot of teams make. Man, you see how they did that team? If they did that team like that, they can do your team, do this team. No, that's not how it works. Because they still ain't got no. First of all, you see what Jokic doing? Okay, if Jokic is doing that, what they going to do with AD?
You know, Big Zoo is playing big right now.
He playing big. He can't do nothing.
He used to be a Laker, and the Lakers gave him away to the Clippers?
They gave Sweet Lou away, too.
They did. The kind of around the horn they did. He came all the way around. All right, I got a little-known fact for you.
What is that?
Ready for this?
Yep.
Only 2 men in playoff history in the National Basketball Association have played a playoff game in which they led both teams on the floor in points and rebounds and assists and steals and blocks. Only 2 men in history have done that. One of them happened last night.
No, don't get to the guy that does it first. The first man to ball go to...
Kawhi Leonard did that last night. He led all players in all categories across the board. It is hard to do. The other man is your man. LeBron James has actually done it twice in the playoffs. I give you that. But this man is arriving not right before your very eyes, kind of under your very eyes, because nobody notices. He is the silent assassin. The problem is he is a dynamic player who doesn't play dynamically. He doesn't act dynamically. There's nothing sensational. It's all subtle. There are no highlights from Kawhi Leonard except for the middle finger dunk. But in general, it's just a bunch of mid-range jumpers and a bunch of subtle stat builders where he is taking over the game, as I tried to show you in Game 3, where he shot the ball poorly and just took it over in the fourth quarter in every other way, shape, and form.
So in other words, he like the term you like to use is stuff in the stat sheet, right?
Okay, but that's with points, rebounds, and assists. He's the subtle. His is steals. So guess who right now is second in the playoffs in steals with 23? That man, Kawhi Leonard. Your guy has 11, not bad. Guess who? Your guy has 10 blocks because he had 4 in one quarter 2 nights ago. My guy already has 9 blocks, so it's only 10-9 in playoff blocks.
Hold on.
Woo.
But your guys played hold on. Your guys played 2 more games than me.
Yep, that's true. But,
2 more games.
But who thinks of Kawhi Leonard as a shot blocker?
My guy ain't no shot blocker. My guy ain't Mark Eaton of Manute Bowl.
So my guy is averaging in the playoffs 29 a game. Your guy's pretty good. He's 28.
Oh.
My guy's, I told you, 52%. Your guy's 48%. Not bad, but not my guy. My guy has been very cold from 3 because he had a 1 for 7 and a 1 for 6.
Okay, so what's the 3-point percentage?
41% for your guy, which is off the charts.
And off the charts. We've done that before.
It's rare.
We've done it before.
It won't last.
It won't last.
Have we done? What did you tell me the other day? If he makes a couple early, he's going to be trying one and trying another one. Heat check, heat check.
I don't mind it. But we've shot 40% from the 3-point range before, Skip. So what's your guy shooting?
29%.
Is that good?
Last night he hit 2 big ones.
That might be lower than Lonzo Ball.
But then we get to the free throw line, and my guy's, as usual, 85%, and your guy, as usual, is way down there at 71%.
Hold on, Skip. Your guy in the regular season was 88. My guy in the regular season was 69. So my guy bumped it up.
Oh, impressive. The point is that my guy very subtly, without beating his chest the way another guy I know does, without mean mugging after he makes a shot or a dunk the way somebody else across the table does.
What do?
Where's your doll today? You got a Kawhi doll
You'll see it
over
tomorrow.
there? Okay.
You'll see it tomorrow.
Okay, yeah. Against the Rockets without Danuel House.
Oh, Skip, baby, I'm not going to let you do that.
Yeah.
I am not going to let you talk about the Rockets without Danuel House. Well, he should have stayed in the house instead of where he was in the house. That was the problem. But he was in the house with somebody he should have probably been in the house with. But that's neither here nor there. Skip, stop trying to. You keep talking about. You see what you did there? You said only 2 guys have ever led both teams in this, and this, and this. And then you don't do that, Skip. You don't say there have been 2 men that walk on the moon, and then you go to the guy that did it second. You talk about Neil Armstrong, he did it first. You don't say there have been several men that broke the 4-minute mile barrier. You go Roger Bannister first because he did it first. The first man to scale Mount Everest, Edmund Hillary. You go him first. What you do, you go to the second guy. My guy led an entire series in every statistical category for 7 games against the...
Wait a second. Your guy is old. My guy is entering his prime.
I can't tell.
Wow.
20. Oh, he 35 and averaging 28, 9, and 8. That's old? Well, I tell you what, there are a lot of people want to be that age. If you're going to do like that, if you're going to play like that, go, James, there's like, when can I be 35?
He did it first because he had the first opportunity to do it.
Hold on. Bird, Magic, Michael. You mean to tell me Michael ain't never did that? What?
Wait, it's over now. LeBron's the GOAT.
No, there you go. No. You keep telling me LeBron had an opportunity to do it first. Man, they've been playing final games since the 50s. So there have been several guys that had an opportunity. I'm surprised it's not somebody like Wilt. I would have thought Wilt would have had a better opportunity, but you got to realize, Skip, block was not an official stat until the early 70s. So we can understand why Russell or some of these other guys didn't have an opportunity to do it. But moving forward, there is Kareem and there's Magic, there's Bird, there's Michael, there's Kobe. So there have been other guys that had opportunities. My guy did it, and my guy's done it more than once. My guy is taking over games in more ways than your guy. No,
my guy is actually a more dynamic player right now than your guy.
Stop playing, Skip.
No, I'm going to start playing because my guy gets double-teamed every time down the floor. Watch their offense. It actually starts to horrify me. I'm like, you guys, you're not going to survive this way. They just say, Kawhi, you do it. And he initiates every play, every offense that gets 2. Watch it. Tell me I'm not right about this. He'll take his time. He'll be patient. He'll split the double team, and all of a sudden, all hell is going to break loose everywhere. And as Doc said the other day, I didn't realize this until I got to coach him. He is an elite passer. He is elite. He doesn't try to be LeBron. He doesn't try to distribute the way LeBron does.
He can't.
But he shreds defenses subtly because he will create against 2 every time. Every time down, Denver said, no, you can't do this, Kawhi. And he would create a 12-foot jump shot, and they're just like automatic. They're like free throws.
You do realize that the reason why you don't trap LeBron James is because he's not a good passer. He's an exemplary passer.
He is
And
that.
so, did you see that pass that he hit?
They don't fear LeBron splitting a double team and shooting a 12-foot jump shot because he ain't got that.
You know why you can Skip? He ain't gonna shoot no 12-foot jump shot. He gonna split the double team and dunk on your head. Ask Russ.
Ask
Russ.
I wish I could see that more often because I don't see that enough.
Did you see it? Did you see it the other night? Did you see what he did the other night?
Yep. Have you
Your
ever
guy scored 30 in 38 minutes. My guy had 29 at the half and chilled.
Have you ever seen a mid-range deadlier game than this guy has? Oh yeah, I saw it once. Yeah. Michael Jeffrey Jordan.
My guy did that 29 and chill on y'all. You know what I'm saying? Hey, that's what my guy did.
Wow.
29 and chill at the half. Your guy had 30 for a game. My guy had 29 at the half and said, AD, take this thing over.
Oh, did he? And AD scored 2 in the fourth quarter. Way to go, AD.
AD had 10 and 8
Only one man took that game over, and his name is Rajon Rondo.
Don't do that, Skip.
Rondo, playoff Rondo, emerged and saved your day.
Skip. See, unlike you, I will give credit when credit's due.
I always give credit.
No, you don't. No, you don't.
I say LeBron's still the best passer in basketball. I say it every time. Greatest freight trainer to the basket ever.
See, that's like saying Pat Mahomes is the best passer in football. No, Pat Mahomes is the best player in football. LeBron James ain't the best passer in basketball. He's the best player. You spelled player wrong.
The best passer in football is Thomas Edward Patrick Brady Jr. Thank you very much.
Skip, baby.
You got that wrong, so you're getting both sides wrong.
Skip, look. I will give credit when credit's due. Kawhi played well last night. The team.
Well, is that all you got? Give me a superlative. If it's LeBron, it's virtuoso. Even after he scores 7 in the second half, it's a virtuoso.
But again, he had to put his imprint on it.
Oh, well, so he put his imprint on, and they trailed by 3 at halftime. Yeah. Virtuoso.
And guess what?
It was only a vert.
And guess what?
V-I-R-T, vert. He didn't finish the uoso.
And guess what he did? He said, now in the second half, I'm going to take this thing over defensively. Now, I'm going to show you the multifaceted. I'm going to show you the different sides of LeBron James. Now, the first half, I gave you 29 and chill. Okay, now if you bring anything up in here, I'm throwing it out. I'm dismissing it.
My guy never chills. He just keeps on keeping on.
Oh, what about that 13 performance? That 13-point performance?
Yeah.
That 1 for 7.
With all those rebounds, was it 14 rebounds? And
Skip, for real? For real. Hold on.
My guy's averaging 29, 10, and 6 assists.
Skip. See, why you do that? Wow. Now, hold on. My guy...
That sounds like bubble MVP to me.
Skip. My guy had a game in which he had 23, 17, and 16. Yeah. And you obliterated him. Now you talk about a guy that had 13 points and 9 rebounds, and you talk about...
He had 14 rebounds in that game.
What did he shoot from the field?
All I know is he did everything necessary to win the game by taking it over in the fourth quarter.
No, he didn't. They lost. Yeah. 4-17 from the... Remember that, Skip? He was 4-17, scored 0 points in the fourth quarter. And then he followed that up with a performance in which you made 1 field goal in the fourth quarter and scored 5 points. And you come out here with a 5-piece orchestra trying to serenade the crowd to make them think he did something special.
I don't need an orchestra.
Yeah, that's what you need.
Solo artist.
Yeah, I know. But that's okay. We got something. I want you to hold that right there. I want you to hold it. That's it. You see what you're doing right there? That look right there down what I want.
Got it.
I want that right there. We're going to get that.
3-1, Clippers. And they're just looking right over their shoulders and saying, you guys going to come get us or not?
Tell Doc, don't come scouting us. Yeah. Don't worry about what we're doing. Go with your team and go sit by the pool and watch tape. Don't be coming to our game.
You better DM your guy and say, don't mess this one up tonight. Don't fall back to 2-2. Because the Clippers are gaining on you. They got a big old leg up on you. They're 3-1. Better not fall back to 2-2.
I'm not even worried, Skip. Are you worried?
You better not let Danuel House get ruled eligible again.
Daniel's in-house. Okay. He's in in-house suspension.
All right.
That's a whole different story that we don't have time to get to right now. Guys, I'm going to give you a break from LeBron versus Kawhi just for a little bit because tonight the NFL is back. So only appropriate that we get some Super Bowl picks.
No mercy.
FS1 Fantasy Week is sponsored by DraftKings. Play free for your shot at the $1 million top prize during Week 1 only on DraftKings. In less than 24 hours, Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs begin their quest for back-to-back Super Bowls as they kick off the season against the Texans. So with the season about to officially begin, we need to get your guys' Super Bowl picks. Today is the day. Shannon, who are your Super Bowl teams and who wins?
Skip, this was tough for me because normally what we get an opportunity to do, Skip, we get an opportunity to see preseason games. So you kind of get a feel, you kind of get an indication. And sometimes, when you watch Sports Channel, they'll show practices. But because of COVID, we hadn't been able to see any of that. So basically, we just had to take word of mouth, who's playing well, who's injured, or things of that nature. And so for me, I don't know, Skip, and you have a dog, you have Hazel, I don't know how you did it, but normally when I purchase a dog, I normally fly out to the location, I tour the facility, I look at the parents of the dog that I'm going to potentially get, and I normally buy 2, so I'll sit down and play with them and see the temperament. I'm trying to get offsetting temperaments because I don't want 2 passive dogs, I don't want 2 aggressive dogs, and so I get an opportunity to see how the dogs are going to blend and see how they grow up. Doesn't always work out that way, Skip, but at least I have a general idea of what I'm getting myself into.
We drove to Burbank. We don't fly, we just drive to Burbank. That's all.
Well, I flew to Ohio, I flew way to Massachusetts, I flew up to Chicago, I drove to Bahaley, Mississippi, so...
Hazel is a Valley girl.
I see. Yeah, she got some Valley girl parents, too. Yeah. And so for me, Skip, not having an opportunity to see any preseason games is hard for me. But for me, it was 2 teams I had to choose between. For me, because I think they're the 2 most talented teams in the AFC. It was between Kansas City and Baltimore. And at the end of the day, I went with Kansas City because of Mahomes and that offense. I still believe with Watkins and Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce and Mecole Hardman that drafted Clyde Edwards-Helaire in the first round, I just think offensively they're going to be really, really good. And I don't want people to think because if Mahomes doesn't throw for 50 touchdowns, he had an off year. Because if you compare everybody to their greatest statistical season, well, he might be off for the rest of his career, Skip, because he had a historically great season his second year. 50 touchdowns, over 5,000 yards, he was MVP. So I went with the AFC, I went with Kansas City over Baltimore in the AFC Championship game. In the NFC, it came down to 2 teams again, and for the very same reasons, it was between the Saints and Seattle. And the thing is, Skip, if you think about also, what gives these teams an advantage? When we think of Saints, that dome, the noise. Seattle, the 12th man, that noise. Now, all of a sudden, that really is not coming into play.
Nope.
And so for me, the addition of Emmanuel Sanders, the certainty, the continuity of Drew Brees being in this offense again, Sean Payton being at the helm, and you Jerry Cook, Emmanuel Sanders, Michael Thomas, very good offensive line. Defensively, they're better than people think. With Marcus Lattimore, Cam Jordan, DeMario Davis was first-team All-Pro at the linebacker position. So for me, Skip, I went with the Saints over Seattle, and I got Kansas City over the Saints in the Super Bowl.
So you're going with the chalk again.
There ain't no chalk.
Just pick the favorite.
Oh.
Safe. Who can criticize that? You can say, well, they were the favorite.
Whoa. I'm interested to see who you picked.
Okay, first I'm going to tell you my issues with your 2 picks.
Okay.
The Chiefs last year. I never got sold on them, and I'm still not completely sold on them because in the middle of the season, they lost back-to-back home games to Indy and then the Texans. And by the way, the Texans are there tonight. And Deshaun badly, completely outplayed Mahomes in his house in that game.
Which one, the first game or the second game?
The regular season game. By a lot.
Yeah.
Not in the second game. Obviously, he got out to a rip-roaring start. He got up 24-0.
Right.
So he was outplaying him to that point when Bill O'Brien said, I think I better take the field goal on 4th and 1.
24-0.
Could have been much worse. Should have been, what, 28-0, right?
Then all you would have did was make my homeboy legend even bigger.
And then I'm going to say this one more time, but in that Super Bowl, Patrick Mahomes did not play great in that Super Bowl, even though he wound up MVP. He had a QBR of 56, which is just ordinary. It's right in the middle. And he threw an interception late in the 3rd quarter with them down 20-10, and then he threw another one early in the 4th quarter with them down 20-10. And he got away with the all-time escape artist play on the 3rd and long play, 3rd and forever, where he just threw a punt to Tyreek, and it just happened to be open, and he came back for it, waited for a fair catch, and caught it, and that was the game.
Didn't he tell you
that got him out of jail?
He wanted to make sure he didn't overthrow him. He said he put it up there and trusted Tyreek. That's what he told you.
To Patrick Mahomes' credit, he came on the show, and we went back and forth about it, and he obviously didn't love that I keep saying that, but it's just what I saw.
Yeah.
And what I also saw was you were so lucky to have as your opposing quarterback Jimmy G in that game, who in the fourth quarter went 3 for 11 for a grand total of 36 yards and an interception, and missed Emmanuel Sanders at the goal line for a play that could have changed our conversation right now. Okay, but they did it. They won it, and he was the MVP. God bless you all. I got all that, but I still have some reservations about their dynamic, their dynastic greatness. I'm not sure about that. And the Saints I saw last year, I saw a decline in Drew Brees I did not see in Tom Brady. I saw Drew Brees with the best receiver in football start to lose a little bit of arm strength where he had to start sort of javelin throwing in the pocket where he had to get a little bit of a running start before he eats it. Okay, he's on his last legs. He pretty much admits, last hurrah, here we go. I admire him greatly because you know and I know he's got guts and he will fight you and battle you. So I got all that. And everything you say on paper, they look like they could be that team. But before I get to my NFC pick, I'm going to do my AFC. Baltimore should have won it all last year, and they're going to win it all this year. That's just what I believe. They had won 12 straight games to get to 14-2. And they did themselves in because they were too good for their own good, and then they didn't play starters in that last regular season game. So they go effectively 3 weeks, and they run into a buzzsaw that had just gone up to New England and ended Tom Brady's run as a Patriot, right? The Tennessee Titans. And they came in hot, and they stayed hot, and they jumped all over Lamar and company, and Lamar had another bad night. That's 2 playoff bad games that he's had, 0 for 2. You want to talk about on a mission? This young man, you want to talk about guts, you want to talk about baller and gamer, he will be on this mission to right all those wrongs this year.
It could be all talk, but from what I've been hearing coming out of Baltimore is that he's even better at throwing the football this year than he was last year. And he was the unanimous MVP, and he threw 36 touchdowns.
I do not doubt it. And I told you, the one receiver who tormented me as an Oklahoma fan the most over the last 3 years was Devin Duvernay of Texas. Every time we played him, I'd look up, and he's open again, and he's open again. You can't cover him. He's one of those guys who just gets open, like 7-Eleven Chris Hogan. But he just keeps getting open, and he's better than Chris Hogan. He's just quicker and a little faster. I don't know. I think Chris Hogan can run a little bit.
Chris Hogan. Remember, he went up for over 100 yards in the Super Bowl.
I got it. The point is, they stole him in the 3rd round. He will help Lamar because he's just going to be open out of the slot. He's the classic slot receiver. And then on offense, they also added J.K. Dobbins, who I just loved. He just makes yards. So I know they still got, obviously Ingram and Justice Hill. But you watch this kid. Watch J.K. get his carries and take his pound of flesh from defenses. And speaking of defense, they added Calais. I love
and Derek Wolfe.
But Calais is the vintage. You know this because you did this.
Raven.
You came to the Ravens right on time to help them win a championship. That's how they do it. They say, please come here, nearing the end of your career, but you're still at the end of your prime, and help us take over on defense again. And he will. And I think it actually cleared some air for them to get rid of Earl Thomas. And I never thought I would say this, but that team is now reunited, back together again. And here they come, and it's hard for me to bet against that. And I think it's hard for you to bet against it.
For me, in the AFC, it was 2 teams. It was Kansas City and Baltimore. That's it. And the question is, at any point in time, Skip, will fans be allowed back into a stadium at obviously it's not going to be at capacity, but at what point is it going to be allowed to be 50% or 60% capacity? Because that's one of the advantages that Kansas City have. I played basically my whole career in the AFC West. And when you get 80,000 screaming fans, and they won't be 80, even if you get 50,000, that gives them an advantage. And so that's why I went with Kansas City. But I believe it's going to be Kansas City over Baltimore in the AFC Championship game. Now, what I'm like, oh, my God, I can't believe Baltimore beat Kansas City. Would it be one of those moments? No. Absolutely not. But I just took Kansas City over.
So I got Baltimore winning the AFC and winning the Super Bowl over Tampa Bay. This is going to be that magical ride year It's going to be the best story in football. It's going to be the best, as you tell me, narrative, because it's going to be an MVP,
it's a great narrative.
MVP narrative, because Tom Brady went to the worst receivers as a group in football, to me, last year in New England, to the best that he has now in Tampa Bay. It's the GOAT reunited with the GOAT tight end. Even you have acknowledged that Gronk is that guy. You say, is he still that guy at age 31?
Right.
He got fresh. He got healed up. He took a year off. He seems revitalized and re-energized because he reunited with Tom Brady in Tampa. And you're joining two Pro Bowl wideouts. One of them's nicked right now, and I don't know if Mike Evans is going to be able to go on Sunday. He's got a soft tissue, some pull. I don't know what it is, but we'll see about that. And obviously, O.J. Howard is potentially, he's a Pro Bowl quality tight end. He will reemerge from the doghouse. Cameron Brate is a red zone weapon. He is so dependable. Brady will love his trustability in the red zone as the other tight end. And then I keep raving about little Scotty Miller. He's just a little lightning bug. Pew, pew. And they will split him out some, but mostly have him in the slot. And he will be the Amendola Edelman. And the offense, they got their, Donovan Smith, their left tackle, who thought he might opt out, but he came back. And Tristan Wirfs, I thought they stole him in the draft. They moved up a slot to get him at 13. I thought he was the best of those big four stud tackles. He's starting at right tackle. So Brady will be protected. I think a little better than he was last year. They don't have just a decent defense. They have a top 10 defense with a top 5 coordinator in Todd Bowles. And look what they added. Do I need to go down the names? Shaq Barrett led the league in sacks, and JPP and Sue and Vita Vea and Levante David and Devin White. I mean, it's just firepower, man.
The secondary concerns me.
Okay, but Antoine Winfield Jr. will start at strong safety, and every time I turned on a Minnesota game last year, I said, look at that guy.
Well, if he's anything,
high IQ,
if he's
high
anything
energy
like his dad,
ball hawk. You know it.
He'll fight you. He'll be very, very physical, because his dad was very physical.
That is exactly right, and I'm pretty sure he's a chip off that block, and he's going to be starting in this game.
Okay.
So my point is, what's not to like about that? You know, Bruce Arians and Tom Moore and even Clyde Christensen, the quarterback coach. Did you see what he said yesterday?
No.
He said, I would question anyone's quarterback knowledge who questions whether Tom Brady lost something in arm strength last year. He said, I looked at every play last year, and I told you, I'm not in the Hall of Fame. I just watched a whole lot of football. I saw no loss of arm strength.
I ain't gonna get into one of the contests, because I don't like people to say, well, if you don't coach quarterbacks and you didn't do this, you shouldn't be able to critique quarterbacks. But I'm gonna say I'm gonna trust Coach Belichick's decision over Clyde Christensen, and I'm gonna leave it at that.
Coach Belichick was reacting with his ego.
I'm gonna trust his decision over Clyde Christensen's decision.
He's nearing 70 years of age, and he said, I deserve a chance to win one without that guy.
That's age discrimination. That's age discrimination, Skip.
Okay, he's a young man who said, I've earned the chance to win a championship without Tom Brady.
Okay.
Okay? So,
But they had to have reasons. You just don't let somebody, there's always a reason. It's never just. Let me ask you a question. How many times you just go sit in your car? You go in your car, you go work out, well, you don't anymore. You go to the grocery store, you go somewhere. It's never just. There's always a reason. It's never just. Jenny, you can't sit in your car and just sit there? No, you go to work,
really.
you go wine tasting, you and Matt go up in Malibu. That's what you do, Skip. It's never just. So Coach Belichick, just is never just.
I sometimes go sit in my car while it's going like 90 miles an hour.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you going somewhere.
On Avenue of the Stars at like 4 o'clock in the
Well, you
morning.
better not let me catch you.
Yeah.
Don't let me catch you.
Yeah, catch
I
me
kind of want
what?
to ride with you, Skip, in that Corvette.
Okay,
I want to see this
quick point
90-mile
here.
thing.
I did have one Super Bowl dark horse in the AFC, and I'm going to just throw it out there because I didn't have the guts. I think the Buffalo Bills are going to be a factor in this. I think it's a loaded football team with a new culture under Sean McDermott, and Stephon Diggs is going to take them up a level, and that quarterback may not be great in overall capability, but he will fight you also at about 6'5", 260 with a huge arm. Just watch that team. They are going to be a factor, and they will win the AFC East easily.
You might be low to saying something like that.
Nope.
You might be low-key faded. Are you on that Zeke?
Nope.
Oh, okay.
I hope Zeke isn't low-key faded this year, is all I hope.
accusations around here. Oh, I just feel good that we finally have some football to watch tonight. It feels like a long time coming. Appreciate your predictions, guys. Thank you for that. I want to transition back to life in the NBA bubble because the Lakers have admitted that not having to travel while in the bubble has been beneficial, but they have been complaining about their late start times. All 8 of their playoff games have started at 8:30 Eastern or later. And Frank Vogel said the late start times make it feel like they are traveling during the season. LeBron said he ends up staying up pretty late each night due to his post-game treatments. And Rajon Rondo said the team needed a break because the NBA is running them into the ground. I mean, geez, Shannon, is this a legitimate gripe?
Yeah. Why we always got to play late games, Skip? It's the NBA, right? I mean, the other teams always...
Can I answer that?
No, I want you to answer. I want you to answer when it's your turn. I mean, let the Nuggets, let Toronto, let Boston, let some of these other teams play tonight. Let them play the early game. We want to get in and get out. I don't always want the late reservation. I like a 6:30 reservation, too, instead of that 9:45. So that's what we're talking about. So what you've done, although we don't have to travel, you've basically making us travel for the simple fact we play late. We get it. You know, LeBron got to get his workout in. LeBron got to get his workout in. His trainer, he got to go get on the physio table, get the kinks worked out. They got to do all that. Frank Vogel, Frankie V, you know Frankie V a master this defense. You see what we did today? Yeah, we're a master this. So in other words, by the time, I forgot, we got interviews. You know they got to talk to Goat James.
Oh, that's tough.
They got to talk to Goat James for 35 minutes. So now you delaying that process, Skip, because we need that cold bath. We got to start cooling these jets down. We've been expending a lot of energy, so we got to cool the jets down. Now we got to go to our trainer. We got to start doing our workout.
Don't forget that hyperbaric chamber.
Oh, yeah, we stay in the hyperbaric chamber.
Yep.
We stay in there. I'm surprised he ain't had one built into the hotel room.
Well, he probably did.
Probably does.
Like Tiger got his whole house hyperbaric proof. But anyway, Skip, look. The thing is like the advantage that they could possibly have by not traveling, Skip, you lose it by playing these late games. As Frank says, you know, by the time we get done with our interviews, and I got to go start back breaking down tape, try to put the game plan together for tomorrow, and I got a coaches meeting at 9 o'clock. Well, hell, Skip, they're getting done at midnight. At the earliest, they're getting done at midnight with the game being over. By the time they get done with the interviews, you're talking about probably 1 o'clock. But and I don't know if they walk to the venue, Skip, or they take a 5-minute bus ride. But let's just say, for the sake of argument, Skip, at 12:30, 12:45, they're getting back to the hotel. By the time LeBron James gets done with what he needs to get done, AD get done what they need to get done, you're probably looking at about 2 o'clock. Everybody. Toronto been sleeping for Boston. Miami done with their play. So they probably done gave Miami, Coach Spo probably gave them about 3-4 days off. Everybody else, and here we are, just look. So by the time we get to the bed, it's 3 o'clock in the morning. And then Frankie V got to be right back up with the coaches meeting. And then we got shoot around. That's why we hadn't been going to shoot around right there. See? That's what I'm talking about. You wonder why we hadn't been going to shoot around.
Good point.
So with that being said, we want to play some early games, Skip. I know we the attraction. I know what it is. I know we it. We them dudes. We what you came to see. In the words of Tony Baker, look at who you came to see. It's us.
What time do the Clippers play each night?
Nobody care about the Clippers. Y'all can put them on at 2 o'clock in the afternoon.
The Clippers play at 9 Eastern, and it's often like 9:20 Eastern when it gets pushed back by 2 overtimes in
What do you think we be doing, Skip?
Boston and Toronto.
Hey, hold on, Skip. We played at the last game of the night all the time. We tired of it. Now we ain't gonna sell a whole bunch because Adam Silver has been great with us. So we ain't gonna cause no confusion. No, we're not gonna kerfuffle or anything like ruffle anybody's feathers, Skip. That's not what we're gonna do. But we talking behind the scenes to Adam, and I don't know what we're gonna be able to do with it now because it's about to be down to the final, Skip, and so. You're going to be last. It's going to be the Eastern Conference teams are not going to be playing in that prime time hour. I'm sorry. It doesn't matter if it's Boston. It doesn't matter if it's Toronto. You're not going to be playing. It's going to be the Clippers and the Lakers playing in prime time. But, Skip, we need to catch us a break. We need a break.
Is it my turn?
Well, how about give us 2 days off? Can you give us 2 days off?
Can you give any other team 2 days off?
We're not worried about them. We're not worried about them.
You got 6 days off after you got to play the Trailblazers.
There you
in
go
round
with
one.
that.
It should have been a sweep.
Y'all got the
You should have
Mavericks.
had 8 days off.
Oh, my goodness.
You know it, and I know it. Now it's my turn. What a bunch of spoiled brat whiners are the Los Angeles Lakers. What a bunch of hard-to-digest bellyachers. What are you doing? How could you even remotely try to defend all these remarks, starting with Frankie V, who's actually lucky to have this job?
No,
and he's complaining. I don't get to go to sleep until between. He said it's somewhere between 3 and 4.
Yeah.
Who cares?
Yeah.
Nobody cares except Frankie V and maybe his. Does he have a wife? I don't even know what his.
Nick Nurse and what you call him already in the bed asleep.
Okay,
and Brad
good.
Stevens already
I'm
asleep.
sure the Lakers are really afraid of Toronto right now.
That's not the point.
This is why the Clippers are going to eliminate the Lakers. The Clippers are the mentally, physically tougher team. They don't complain about squat. They look at the schedule, and if it says 9 Eastern or 9:30 Eastern or whatever, they just go play. You don't hear a peep out of the Clippers because they're off radar. They just do it with their performance, and they let that lay. And if they're supposed to go do interviews, they do interviews, and they don't whine and bellyache
First of all, they asked Kawhi 2 questions because they're going to be short. Yeah, we just need to play better. Well, Kawhi, what about your performance? Well, my teammates gave me the ball and I scored. Okay, bye. LeBron, he's sitting there asked question after question after question, and you know it.
So my question to you is, what exactly is there to do after games in the bubble that you can't wait to get to? What are you missing? What nightlife are you missing? Am I missing something?
No. We want to prepare.
Have you smuggled some people in?
No. Skip, look, at some point in time, and I get it. I get the gist of what you're trying to say. But, Skip, we want to go to bed early, too.
I mean, you don't even go to shoot around. You publicly admitted we're just too cool for shoot around.
Because we
don't
tired.
go. This is before these games started at 9 o'clock.
We were playing late.
So
Got
help
in
me
early.
out. If all of a sudden Adam Silver said, let's start putting the Lakers, let's put 3 Laker games at, what would it be, 6:30 Eastern. You want to talk about belly aching and whining and complaining? That they would hit the ceiling over that. How are you disrespecting us? We're Showtime, number 2. This is LeBron and AD and the Los Angeles Lakers.
That's right.
You guys would be out of your minds if you were playing anywhere but prime time, center stage, 9 p.m.
Sometimes you want to get a good night's sleep. Now, like I said, you don't have kids, but when you have kids, sometimes you put them to the grandparents, or you let them have a sleepover so you can get a good old night's sleep. You ain't got to worry about.
You're off the next day. You don't have back-to-back games. You're off. You can sleep in. You can say Frankie V because LeBron coaches the team.
No, he don't.
You know it, and I know it.
Don't do that.
He'll say, Frankie V, I got to sleep. Let's meet at like 11:30, maybe noon.
Well, that's what time Frankie V say. That's what time his coach is meeting in. Now, I'm assuming a couple hours later they're going to have shoot around.
Yeah. So who cares about you? You get all your beauty sleep. You can sleep for 12 hours.
No.
And by the way, then another game comes around the next night, which is tonight. What are they doing as we speak? I think they're probably watching Undisputed right now. How you guys doing?
Yeah.
But are you up yet, LeBron? Maybe LeBron's still in the hyperbaric.
Let me see what time.
You there? You there?
Yeah,
Hi,
he
LeBron.
up.
Oh,
He up.
he says he's up, but
Yeah,
he's
he
in the
up.
hyperbaric.
He up.
He's got one eye peeking over the edge,
He up.
watching.
Yeah.
See what
And plus, Skip, you got to eat. You got to get the proper nutrition.
Okay, but on game day, you have all day. You don't even have to get over there until, what, 2 hours before? So it's 7 o'clock.
No, they probably
You
over
can
there.
take naps. Poor Frankie V talks about he takes his walk every day or whatever he does, or
Yeah.
what does he do? Bike rides? I don't know what he does. He's got that. You can play golf. You can go fishing. You have all day to get ready for the game.
I mean,
What are you talking about?
Frankie V got that bicycle with them fat tires, so it's not like he going, he ain't on no road, he ain't on no racing bike, Skip.
Yeah.
But you don't understand what he's saying, man.
How about Rondo saying, hopefully the NBA will give us a break sometime. They're running us into the ground. You've had no back-to-backs. They listen, I used to cover playoffs when it would be back-to-backs like constantly through playoff series. You'd have to fly and go play the next day in the other city.
Well, that's why they did with the 2-3-2 format, Skip,
Right,
because they wanted you to stay there.
I got it. This is the all-time sweetheart cakewalk of a playoffs because you're confined to a bubble. You don't have to fly. You don't even have to take long bus rides to the arena. It's 5 minutes. You can walk from your hotel to the arena if you so choose.
You're inconvenienced.
Oh, you're inconvenienced? Do you know what flying takes out of you? I flew for 30 years. I flew. I just can't even do it anymore because it grinds on your psyche.
Yeah.
They're all, and everybody's been talking about, a number of the GMs have been saying, you know what? We're finding it's much easier on the players' bodies not to fly.
They're talking about flying to a city and playing multiple games.
Like baseball. Like play a 3-game regular season series.
Right.
The Lakers go to Utah, and they just stay and play 3.
Right.
Okay? Well, that's one way to eliminate a bunch of flights, right?
Yeah, I don't think the players going to sign off on that.
Well, I don't know.
I don't think the players going to sign.
Save your body and your soul from flying?
Well, I guess that you could, Skip. I mean, if you play, let's say, like they play Portland 4 times, they play 2 at home and 2 on the road. Well, I guess you could theoretically, you play on a Monday and then you play them again, say, Wednesday.
I love this because, for me, your minds are on all the wrong things. You're looking for excuses. You're looking for
They ain't got no excuse. Hold on. Have they not shown up and played? Have they not shown up and played well?
Mostly.
Have GOAT James not been GOAT James?
He never was GOAT James.
Yes,
exactly. LeBron James.
No, stop doing it.
Played well for a half the other night.
GOAT.
I guess he ran out of gas. I don't know. So if you only play a half a night,
you know what? I think I might come out here. Let's see, they play Saturday night. They close this thing. I believe they're going to close it out on Saturday night. So I might come out here Monday dressed like a centaur.
Really?
Yeah.
Because?
Honor of GOAT James.
In honor of GOAT James?
Yeah, he's a centaur.
Really? Huh.
You know, they got that commercial where they talk about a motar, where the guy's half man, half motorcycle. I think I'd be a centaur.
Really?
Half man, half goat. That GOAT James.
Huh. Really?
I got to find me a chin strap. I got to find me a beard to do right there so I can look.
Huh. You know, you got a tough game tonight. You might have to worry a little bit about that. You wouldn't want to perilously fall on your face to 2-2, would you?
I ain't worried about that. You thought that was an accident, what GOAT James did the other night? You thought that was happenstance. You just thought like, that was just that's a one-off. There's a reason why he has the most playoff wins in NBA history, Skip.
If anybody comes out here dressed as anything, I should come out here dressed as a cyborg because my guy is a cyborg.
When I signed up for
we'll go back here. We'll go back like a centaur. Yeah, I think.
I don't know.
I need Fox to open up their prop room.
I was going to say, you need someone to help you with this, Shannon. But I really didn't know I was signing up for this with you. I never know what to get. I never know what to get. And I agree, bubble life would be hard. I don't care how much you love the game. It's not normal. They've kind of been there for a while, and we're not even close to the end. I hear the point. Okay, we're going to talk about Dak when we return. But, guys, football is back tonight and not in a bubble. Football's back on DraftKings, the official daily fantasy partner of the NFL. And this week, there are so many ways you can join. Tonight only, you can play free for a shot to be crowned the next DraftKings millionaire. Just sign up using promo code FS1. Want to get in on the action and play for free? We've got you covered.
No mercy.
In an interview yesterday, Dak Prescott opened up about dealing with depression and his brother's death back in April of this year. Prescott said he had started feeling anxiety and depression several days before he learned that his brother Jace had committed suicide. Dak said that he knew his brother had a lot of burdens on him, and the Cowboys quarterback encouraged others to open up and share their struggles with loved ones around them. Shannon, what are your thoughts on Dak being so open and honest?
Good for him. Suicide is something that's very personal to a family. A lot of times people try to keep that under wraps because of how...
Now, if I get this straight, he said he went through this period because of the pandemic and the quarantine before his brother committed suicide. Okay, just for the record.
Right, yes.
He didn't say he was depressed because...
No. He was depressed because of, as you mentioned, the quarantine.
Yes.
but he says his brother's been dealing with things.
That's a whole nother, yeah,
right.
okay.
But I'm saying the reason why I believe Dak is opening up about this is because
okay, that's fine.
He felt that because his brother never opened up, he never came to grips with what transpired with his mom, because he was home watching what the cancer was doing to her. And he really never opened up about it. And Dak says, I don't want to travel down that road. I want to share with someone what's going on with me and that I wasn't in a very good place. And I think the thing is, Skip, is that him opening up about it, because we didn't know. We just thought it was just natural causes. And I guess some people knew. Obviously, the coroner knew, but that's information that you're not getting out. And how TMZ wasn't able to get this information, because they get everything. But for me, Skip, for Dak to share that information, clearly that's tough. They're a very close family. If I'm not mistaken, Skip, it's all boys. And I think this was a family affair, because in the commercials that you see, Dak, I think Campbell's Chunky Soup, Skip, is his brothers. And they do a lot of things. They're all involved in Dak's affairs. And I can imagine the anguish, the toil that it took on Dak, because, you know, like, man, we're finally starting to reach that plateau where we're growing up and, you know, thinking about what we're going to be and how we're going to do this for mom. And here we are finally starting to do this. And it just goes to show you, Skip, you never know what a person's going through. And no matter how good you might think it is, because you look at where Dak is ascending to, and there's no question that he's taking care of his brothers, he was dealing with something that money couldn't, you know, fame couldn't get him out of. Yep. And Dak says, you know, and so my brother had some issues that he didn't seem to be willing to open up and share and talk about. And Dak says, that's not something that I want to do. I want to share it. I want to talk about it. I don't want to be in that dark place anymore. Because I can imagine, you know, going from COVID to brother suicide. Man, Skip, that's a lot on a young man's plate.
Okay. All well said from you. All very good points. I'm going to disqualify myself right up front on this question. I'm the wrong one to ask about this when it comes to him as the face of that franchise of America's team. I'm going to ask our audience to feel free to go ahead and condemn me if you choose as cold-blooded and insensitive on this issue. I have deep compassion for clinical depression. But when it comes to the quarterback of an NFL team, you know this as well as better than I do. It's the ultimate leadership position in sports. Am I right about that? You are commanding an entire franchise. What's the roster now? Is it 53 still?
53, but I think they got like 15 practice squad guys.
Okay. But you're commanding a lot of young men and some older men. And they're all looking to you to be their CEO, to be in charge of the football team. Because of all that, I don't have sympathy for him going public with, I got depressed. I suffered depression early in COVID to the point that I couldn't even go work out. Look, he's the quarterback of America's team. And you know and I know, this sport that you play, it is dog eat dog. It is no compassion, no quarter given on the football field. If you reveal publicly any little weakness, it can affect your team's ability to believe in you in the toughest spots, and it definitely can encourage others on the other side to come after you. You throw an interception, you're going to hear, you depressed number 4? You know, get that sort of thing. You get sacked. How did that feel? You getting down about it? You just can't go public with it, in my humble opinion. So now I got to declare who have I always been. I grew up I had a rough childhood, broken home, just soaked with alcohol. I had some really low moments in my childhood. And I just kept fighting. I fought through every one of them. I've had some low moments professionally where some dark times happened, and you've been through it too. And you know and I know, you just fight. You got to fight back. You can't give in to the depression. You try to rise above it because it's just how you're built. It's how I'm built.
Right.
I believe it's how that man is built. Rise above it. I got to tell you, it's been a long time since I was more stunned by quotes than what he told, I think it was Graham Benzinger in the interview that's going to air tonight, maybe?
I think the thing is, Skip, is that, like you always tell me, you like to place yourself in that position.
I do.
And you probably wouldn't have shared what Dak shared.
You just can't, for the good of your franchise and your football team, and in the end,
what good,
your own psyche.
But what good is that, Skip, if you don't share it, but you're dealing with it internally?
You just got to. I get what you're saying. Sometimes it's better just to get it out.
Yes, and that's what he said.
Okay. I just don't know if you're the quarterback of America's team, a team that I think has got a shot to get to this year's Super Bowl, certainly got a shot to win the division and make the playoffs, which they did not do last year.
Skip,
you can't go public with that, even though you say this could help a lot of people out there who are truly suffering from a clinically diagnosed depression.
Skip, I think the thing is that you have to understand. I understand that he plays quarterback. He's the face of a franchise. But at the end of the day, I'll take all that away. He's still human. And there's a human element of this. And sometimes people think because we play this sport, because we're good at a sport, we don't have feelings, we don't have emotions. He's human. He's human. And think about this. It got so bad. His brother was dealing with something that he took his life. I would rather Dak share. I mean, because we've seen, we've seen athletes take their lives, Skip, because they're dealing with things. And because they didn't feel or they felt, and maybe they felt the same way what you're feeling right now. Man, I can't share this. I can't share this. I can't deal with this. I don't want anyone to know what I'm going through.
Talking about, you can share it internally. You can go see a psychiatrist if you need to. You can get all kinds of counseling. You can share it with some of your closest teammates. Call up Zeke. Let's go sit and talk it through. I need to let you know what I was feeling. But we all went through COVID, some sort of depression.
But we handle things differently, Skip. Look, I'll give you a prime example. Okay, you can take boiling water. And now boiling water will harden the egg. It will soften the potato. Water, same thing. Boiling. Harden the egg, soften the potato. So you can't say because one way somebody handled it one way, that's the right way. Someone handled it the other way, that's the wrong way. That's the wrong way to look at it.
Just don't make me question whether you're made of the right stuff to stand up to that job, because that's a hard job he's got.
For me, Skip, he got there. You don't get to where he got without being... First of all, you don't get to where he got without being tough. And having to losing a parent at the age in which he lost his parent, I believe he made of the right stuff. There's no question in my mind. I know he's made of the right stuff. He's tough. He just, some people, Skip, you'd be surprised, or the things that guys, some of the toughest guys, how they operate behind the scenes. You've seen it. Some guys like to read. Some guys like to do a lot of different things that you like, that big old tough joker, he like that. Hey, at the end of the day, get the job done. I don't have a problem with Dak. And some people, Skip, might look at it like Dak, you being this, you being that, but I'm not. And I think, Skip, what has happened, athletes are getting more and more comfortable telling that they're dealing with things. Because, as you mentioned, when I growing up, athletes would have never, when you first started coming, they would never share this. When I first got in the league, you wasn't, as you mentioned, guys would have, I think now, Skip, we're at a different time now, because you're absolutely right. If he had said that in the 90s.
And I get, you can argue it takes more of a man to go public with that. I get that. There's just this fine line between you played that position for that team and you're responsible for the psyches of 53 plus your whole front office and coaching staff. They're all looking to you to lead them. And I don't know. Look, if he said, I got really depressed and down after the suicide of my brother, I got you. But he was talking about when the pandemic first hit. Well, did you have some dark days when the pandemic first hit?
For me, Skip, I'm a guy I stay home all the time anyway. So it ain't really doing anything. I just get on the highway and just drive and go somewhere.
I'll be the first to admit there are a few days in there where I thought, I'm not sure this network is going to survive this. Did we miss a day? We did not miss a day. No. You were coming over to my place, and we were trying to do the show as best we could. Throw it together, right?
Yes.
Because you got to keep fighting. right? You can't give in to it.
Yeah, but I think there was a big stigma, and it's starting to be lit, especially as a black man in America, and talking about mental illness.
Okay,
and
I'm with you.
I think a lot of black men deal with things, and because they don't want the shame, because they're gonna be looked at as weak. And like I said, I don't look at it as being weak, because I believe you can be weak and not be vulnerable. I also believe you can be vulnerable and not be weak. So we got to get out of the way that, Skip. I just think the thing is the way he handled it was the way, and I tried my best, and I used to do this all the time. Man, I wouldn't handle it like that. Well, unless you're under the exact situation, it's hard to say how you would or wouldn't handle a situation.
Yep, I agree. So I reiterate, I'm probably the wrong one to ask about this, and I could be completely wrong about this, but I stand by what I believe. This is the way I view what he's talking about.
Okay.
Well, gotta respect different opinions here, and I respect Dak Prescott for having a voice in all this, because everyone deals with stress and loss in a different way. We can never put ourselves in their shoes exactly. Guys, the Clippers, they might be already showing LA who's actually the better team in Los Angeles before they potentially meet the Lakers.
They did.
We explain next.
No mercy.
The Clippers have taken a commanding 3-1 series lead over the Nuggets, thanks in part to Kawhi's game-high 30 points. It's the 6th time Kawhi has scored 30 or more already this postseason. Jokic had 26 for Denver, but Jamal Murray only had 18, and the Nuggets were held to just 85 points. Fox Sports NBA analyst Chris Broussard joins us this morning. Chris, did the Clippers show last night that they are, in fact, better than the Lakers?
Look, you guys know I think that the Clippers are better than the Lakers. And obviously we'll find out in the next round. And last night they proved that their defense is stifling. All right, to hold Denver, who's one of the most efficient teams offensively in the league, to 39% shooting, to take Jamal Murray out of this series. They've shown Jamal Murray what the difference is between pretty good teams and elite teams. And he is struggling at the next level. Okay, so defensively last night, they were great, but I can't say they proved yet, or last night even, that they're better than the Lakers. Because on the offensive end, outside of Kawhi, they struggled. Paul George, who was very good defensively, had 10 points. Lou Williams shot 3 for 11, and Lou is averaging 9 points over the last 6 games. He's shooting, believe it or not, 9% from three-point range over the last 6 games. He still hasn't come out of his bubble funk. And so they're a bit inconsistent. Now, they're still winning games. I still believe in them, but I don't think they've proven yet that they're better than the Lakers. What I'm trusting in is I'm looking at their roster, and I'm saying, look at that depth. I'm saying you've got Kawhi and Paul George to throw at LeBron James. You got Marcus Morris, who I think will do a very good job on Anthony Davis. And then when you need that third guy to step up, I'm sure that a Clipper will step up, basing it on the track records, whether it's Lou, whether it's Montrezl Harrell, whether it's Morris, Landry Shamet even can hit some shots. I'm not sure of the Lakers' third guy. And I know playoff Rondo has shown up, but can we really count on that in year 14 at 34 years of age? So I have just more certainty in the Clippers' depth when I look at them on paper. But I would be lying if I said, based on what I saw last night, or even throughout the playoffs thus far, that they've proven to me, oh, they're definitely better than the Lakers. Right now, I'm looking at it 55% Clippers, 45% Lakers in the next round.
But you're mainly looking at it because of the depth, not because of the overwhelming play that you've seen. You just think they're a deeper team, can throw more bodies at LeBron, and if LeBron is off the court, he gets in foul trouble for some unforeseen reason. You trust their bench more than you trust the Lakers' bench.
Right. And I think the Lakers haven't been as consistent either. So I think both teams have been a little bit up and down. But, yeah, Shannon, you summed it up well.
When I look at it, the Nuggets only scored 85, but the Clippers only scored 96. So what about them? They shot 42%. That's not good. And when you look at it, the Nuggets are very predictable. They dribble handoff. They put Jokic at the high pick, and they dribble handoff. They pass it to him, and then here come Murray. They dribble a handoff to him. And look, Michael Porter Jr., I think he could have got more opportunity than what he got last night. He was a very good third option in the first half. And you're right, Jamal Murray, to take that next step, bruh, these are the games you got to shine in. I mean, yeah, you did what you did against Utah, and you helped them advance. But beating Utah, yeah, that gets you a little cred. You got to do it against the big boys now. You got to do it against the Clippers. You got to do it against the Lakers, because as the stage rises, you need to rise with it. And we haven't seen him do that. Joker's doing Joker things. He was another 26 and 11 last night with 6 assists. But you're not going to beat the Clippers with one guy. That's not going to happen. You need 2, potentially 3rd, because remember, Chris, when they played, I think the last game before the Clippers and the Lakers played, they got a 3rd guy in Avery Bradley. AD did what he did, LeBron did what he did, and you're going to need the 3rd guy, kind of like the other night against the Rockets. LeBron did what he did, AD did what he did, and then here come Rondo, and even Kuzma chipped in. So I just think the thing is that you look at the Clippers, they shot 29% from the 3. They shot 42% from the field, 73% from the free throw line. So for me, I'm not looking at them like they're the 2018 Warriors. I'm not looking at them like they're the 86 Celtics. They're beatable. So stop this notion, because we saw Kawhi go 4-17, and then he went horrible the next night and then score, what, Skip, you remember? He went one fourth quarter. Chris, you remember that? He would score 0 points. In the fourth quarter, had 13 points on 4-17 shooting. And then he followed that up with a 1 for 7 in the fourth quarter. But Skip don't want to talk about that. But my guy just keep on doing goldish things. But I'll see you Monday, Chris. Tune in. Make sure you tune in Monday. I'll be out here in a Centaur uniform in honor of Goat James.
All you got, Shannon.
Look at the Mamba jerseys. I got one coming, too.
Shannon, do you remember the old cliche about you're whistling through the graveyard? You're whistling because you're afraid you're going to see your own ghost rise up for one of those graves. And the truth is, right here, right now, the Clippers are digging the grave that your Lakers are going to wind up in the next round.
Okay.
You saw what they do when they decide on defense. You saw the first quarter, you saw the third quarter, and you saw a stretch of the fourth quarter. When they decide, they suffocate you. They take you completely out of whatever pick and roll you're trying to, whatever your scheme is, they destroy it. They take you, they push you so far out, you can't even get your offense started close enough to the lane to get something cooking for you. They took Denver, in the first quarter, Denver scored 12 points last night. They held Denver to a season low, regular season low, 85 points. It's hard to do because Denver is explosive. They have so many three-point shooters, and Jokic has such an awkward, goofy sort of variety of shots. They're hard to stop, and he can shoot threes. So we know what the Clippers can do when they decide to on defense. It's not always, and they don't usually do it for all 4 quarters, but we'll see if they start to take it up to 4-quarter levels against your Lakers. Now let's look at offense. You have doubts, you say, about their offense. All they're doing right now is leading the playoffs in scoring. No team has scored more points than the Clippers have. They're also leading the playoffs in field goal percentage. So something's going right, even though Kawhi has been mired in an awful shooting slump, especially from 3, in which he's shooting right now 29% from 3. And I hear what Chris said about the last few games. Horrible. Last night he looked like he was coming out of it. But let's put this into context here. Kawhi Leonard gets doubled every time down the floor. It's just the way everybody is playing the Clippers because they know he initiates nearly every offensive possession. I've never seen anything quite like this because he takes the ball in the wing, a second comes to double, and all of a sudden he patiently dribbles, he goes between his legs, and he says, I think I'll either split the double team or I'll beat you to the left or I'll beat you to the right. And he usually beats 2 guys and creates all hell breaking loose by getting into the lane, either pulling up for a 12-foot jumper, and he is almost automatic from that range, or, as Doc said the other day, it took me coaching him to realize what an elite passer he is. He's now averaging 6 assists for the playoffs. He's 29, 10 rebounds, and 6 assists. Your guy's 28, 10 rebounds. 10 rebounds and 9 assists. Okay, obviously LeBron's a better passer than Kawhi, but do not underestimate Kawhi. And what I keep seeing from Kawhi is while LeBron is the ultimate showman. I give you that. He can chest beat and showboat, and he's fun to watch. He's wildly entertaining. The other guys are the flip side. He is the silent, subtle assassin. He does it in little big ways that take over the game in ways that you have to appreciate by looking a little harder at what's actually happening, because he's not going to tell you about it. He's not going to beat his chest. He's not going to mean mug after he makes a big three.
He shouldn't. He ain't doing it. Skip, that's what we do. We do what we do, and we tell you we doing it. We know who you came to see.
We did. We came to see
the
you.
Lakers.
Yeah.
That's right.
Kawhi Leonard on July the 5th last year, a year ago, he just said, you know what? I don't want to play with you. I want to beat you. I'm going to go to the basement and play for the Clippers. And it was seismic, that decision that he announced that night.
Chris, it would have been very interesting if Sam Presti says, I'm not doing business with you Clippers.
But he did.
Exactly. So now it's easy to say, oh, he stuck it to LeBron. He'd have been right there. He got what he wanted. I got no problem with that. You want to form your own super team. Okay, I get it. No problem whatsoever. But you have to see me. You're gonna have to see me.
Yeah.
You're gonna have to see me.
I think that the Clippers, look, I don't think they're getting up really for anybody but the Lakers. At least, and I think they'll get up for the finals opponent if they get there. But I think they're looking at Dallas as just somebody we got to go through to get to the Lakers. Same thing with Denver.
I agree.
I do think they'll take it up a notch when they see LeBron and the other guys on the Lakers uniforms. I definitely believe that. And what I'm going to need from them, though, is I'm going to need more consistency from Paul George. He was great, 2 games ago? I mean, absolutely.
The last game,
Carried them, yes. And then last night on the offensive end, 10 points. I'm going to need like at least 22, 23 points that I know I can count on from Paul George. Because the one thing about the Lakers, will Anthony Davis show up in the fourth? We'll see. But we know he's going to give you 28 points. Even if it's all in the first 3 quarters, he's going to give you 28. LeBron's going to do the same thing. I'm going to need that second guy for the Clippers to back up Kawhi, because Kawhi's going to do his thing. Paul George's going to have to do his.
Are we sure? Because old Go James, when Go James say, I got it. He don't call his name.
That's a good
when Phil Handy say, hey, Bron, what you want? I got him. We don't call his name. You know who him is.
Can LeBron do that for 7 games?
Can Kawhi guard LeBron? Look, you remember when Marcus Morris, when he was in Boston, and he got that first good game on LeBron, I'm going to be able to tell my grandkids I did this to LeBron.
Marcus Morris. This is Kawhi Leonard. This is a different animal.
Did you see?
I'm not saying he's going to outplay LeBron, but he's going to be right there with him.
Did you see him in the bubble? The first game in the bubble, did you see what Go James? Okay.
But he did it in stints. He's going to have to do it in more than stints, because there's nobody else. If LeBron's not on Kawhi, Kawhi's going to feast in the mid-range. Now, when LeBron's on him, he did a great job in the first game of the bubble. But how often is LeBron going to be able to do that?
We giving it to everybody.
They do surprises and do it the whole series.
We go get that Paul George. Paul George ain't got enough bricks in his pockets. Marcus Morris not fleet of foot enough. We get everybody catching the fade. Everybody catching the Chris.
Stop. All right. Enough for now, Chris. We appreciate it. We will check in with you soon.
No mercy.
During his introductory press conference, Steve Nash said he got to, quote, skip the line and get the Nets head coaching job because of his playing experience. Nash played 18 seasons in the NBA, was a 2-time MVP, and is in the Basketball Hall of Fame. But before the Brooklyn job, Nash had no formal coaching experience. So, Shannon, do you have a problem with Nash skipping the line in this sense?
Well, he acknowledged it. At least he knew he skipped the line. Some people, I didn't break the skip. Our kids. I didn't break the line, Miss Thompson. Yeah, you did.
Yeah, you did.
Skip, look. We've seen other blacks with no coaching experience get a head coaching job in the NBA. But what I think the black coaches are upset about, and some in the black community says, they get menial jobs. They go in somewhere where they got to rebuild. And if you don't win your championship in 2 years, you're getting fired. And then they get to say, see, when we gave you a chance. They're saying, the black coaches are saying, We don't get an opportunity to coach two superstars out of the gate. We don't.
Well, not many do, but go ahead.
But I'm saying first-time coaches.
Right.
That's what they're saying. A first-time coach getting a coach, two superstars. Now, Pat Riley, think about Pat Riley, Skip. Pat Riley was a broadcaster, and he got Kareem and Magic. So I think that's the thing. Look, it's not like, Skip, the guy had never... If the guy had never played in the NBA, he was a broadcaster, and they give him this opportunity. But Steve Nash played in the NBA for almost 2 decades. He was a two-time MVP. Yep. So obviously he has basketball knowledge. He led the league in assists. So he has a basketball IQ, Skip. I think the thing that some of the black coaches, and there are 5 black coaches, Dwayne Casey, Monty Williams, Doc, Lloyd Pierce, and J.B. Bickerstaff. What we don't normally see, Skip, as black coaches currently in the NBA.
Yes.
But what we don't...
Some just got fired, right?
Nate McMillan. Alvin Gentry and Nate McMillan, right? They just got fired. Yep. But what we don't see, Skip, is that the first-time coaches, black coaches, that doesn't have coaching experience doesn't get a job like that. And so I think that's what's concerning or upsetting to some black coaches is that we don't get those opportunities. We're going to the Nets. We're going to the Knicks. And Skip, all those, look, if you're a head coach in the league, but I'm saying we're not going to get the opportunity, to coach Kevin Durant, to coach Kyrie.
It's just like all-time.
Right. And the team is ready to contend for a title.
It's a loaded team.
Thank you.
Yes.
So I think that's the problem that some of the coaches are having.
Yeah, just for the record, the day this story broke in the middle of our show, your first gut reaction was you were fine with it as far as them choosing him.
Right.
Just sort of in a vacuum, if you just say, you just went completely outside the box and picked him.
Kyrie and KD chose him.
They did.
Because if they wanted Ty Lue, or if they wanted Mark Jackson, or if they wanted Shannon Sharp, they could have got that. They chose Steve Nash.
Obviously, Steve had helped coach Kevin in Golden State, sort of as a mentor, just not a direct coach, but he was just an advisor to the staff.
Right.
But they clicked and connected. Kyrie, I'm sure, has high regard for Steve Nash's ball handling capabilities, and Kyrie might have the best handle in the history of the game. And yet he knows this guy as a 6'3" point guard, about the same size as Kyrie, won back-to-back MVP.
Right.
Well, there's respect.
And KD, and what did KD say? He might have the best mind that I've ever been around.
Okay, all right. And as Steve said, I was the leader of teams for almost 2 decades.
Yes,
and he was.
He was.
Leader of men on and off the court.
He didn't lie.
We get that. Okay. So he admitted, I have benefited from white privilege. Well, we appreciate that. Now, he said, maybe I didn't directly benefit from it in this job that I got just now because I was close with Sean Marks already because we played together in Phoenix, the GM of the Nets, right?
Correct.
And he knew Kevin. Here we go. So the roots were already growing there, and it wasn't a shock. The more you thought, it was a shock to me when I first heard it, but then the more I thought about it, okay, I get it, right? Okay, now let's look at previous black coaches with no experience who got head coaching jobs. The first one was Doc Rivers, who's turned into, to me, the best coach in basketball. That's just me. But he got the Orlando job when it was a pretty bad team, and they went 41-41 the first year with just basically nobody.
And didn't he win Coach of the Year that year, though?
He probably did.
I think he did.
I didn't look this up, but it's Darrell Armstrong and Ron Mercer and Chris Gatling. It wasn't very good.
He didn't get Shaq and Penny?
No. He didn't have Shaq and Penny. So that was the one where you say, I don't know.
Exactly.
But no coaching experience, obviously, and then here he went.
Right.
And obviously Boston was next, and you know it's the rest is history, NBA history. Isaiah started with the Pacers and then obviously went to the Knicks, but his Pacer team did have Reggie Miller and Jermaine O'Neal, and they got the second year Meta World Peace. That worked. They had Sam Perkins still. So it was a decent team. Okay, so it wasn't like you got a bad team.
Right.
Then Jason Kidd. He starts out with that Brooklyn team that a lot of people thought had a chance, but KG and Paul Pierce were on their last legs. Kirilenko was there. Brooke Lopez was a young player, but still starting to rise.
Derek Williams and Joe Johnson?
Joe Johnson was there, maybe on his last legs, but people looked at it like pretty cool. You know, like this team's got a chance.
Right.
And then he goes on to get Giannis in Milwaukee as a very young player, but he got him. Okay? Then Mark Jackson, that first year in Golden State, Monte Ellis was still there, but you had Steph and Clay, and
They had Draymond, too.
The next year, you got Draymond. You had Harrison Barnes.
Right.
He's a very good player.
And then they had signed David. I think they signed David Lee via free agency.
They did. And they had Richard Jefferson, and they had Jared Jack, and they had Bogut and Bazemore, another nice player. So they weren't bad. And again, they needed to learn how to play, and he taught them how to play. And he didn't give it enough credit for that. He still doesn't get enough credit for how he molded that team into the team that Steve Kerr just fell into. Like Steve Kerr inherited a team that's equivalent.
Kind of like John Gruden did with Tampa,
there you go.
with Tony Dungy.
That's a good one. That's perfect. It's a perfect football analogy to this. And then there was Derek Fisher, who came out of nowhere because Phil Jackson loved him and knew he was a coach on the floor. And he got that Knicks team with Melo and with Amari Stoudemire. And who else was on there? J.R. Smith, Tim Hardaway, Shumpert. It was decent. It was an okay team. I think it
was Fish there then? I don't think Fisher was the guy. He got the team with JR?
Yeah, that was his first team.
Wow.
He had JR. So my point is, and they were not very good that year. But it wasn't a bad place to start. It just didn't work for whatever reason, and because I think Phil wasn't working as the GM.
But again, Skip, they say, remember, 80% of the jobs are not listed.
Yeah, no, I
Networking sometimes can get you jobs that degrees can't.
Okay.
My grandma used to say, Skip, sometimes good friends can get you things money can't buy. You see, Sean Marks and Steve Nash have a relationship. Phil Jackson and Derek Fisher had a relationship. You see how that works, Skip?
Yep.
So if Kevin Durant has a relationship with Steve Nash.
He does.
That's called networking.
Okay.
Hey, man, check this out, man. Fox over there hiring. They ain't listed the job yet, but they're going to be listed in the next couple of weeks. Maybe you should put your... Now, see, I told somebody that. I'm at Fox. I told them that. They put their resume in, they get the job. Okay. Such and such going to apply for the job, such and such. That's how it works, Skip.
Okay, I got it.
So, like I said, look, I think that's the biggest problem that people have, Skip, is that he got such a good job.
It's the all-time plum cotton job.
out of the gate.
Right.
But like I say, Skip, Kevin Durant and Kyrie signed off on this. If they wanted a black coach, they would have gotten a black coach.
I still don't know why Ty Lue is not the coach. I thought he was made for it, but I can't argue with the case they make for him.
Yeah.
And at least Steve Nash owned it. Yeah, I skipped the line.
That's it. Hey, that's it.
Okay.
Well, he's got to own it. And if it works, that's amazing. If it doesn't, then
it's like with the shoes.
Surprised?
When it comes to them bronze, okay, I might have a plug. I'm going to hold it. I mean, I might got a plug when it comes to them bronze.
Yeah.
Chris is always LeBron every single time. Will Mahomes or Lamar snag their second MVP this season?
No mercy.
Patrick Mahomes is favored to win his second MVP in 3 years, according to Fox Bet, and kicks off the season tonight against Deshaun Watson. Watson has the sixth best odds to win MVP, and yes, they had some pretty big contracts recently signed. So, Shannon, which QB would you rather have? I don't know. I might already know the answer to this. Mahomes or Watson?
Skip, Deshaun is a homeboy.
He is.
Deshaun's from the state of Georgia.
Yep.
Grew up in Gainesville, outside of Atlanta, east of Atlanta.
Not far, right?
Not far at all. And I think he's phenomenal. I think he's going to be really good. I think he's on his way to being great. But just signed a big contract. Congratulations to David Mulugeta, who negotiated this deal, just got Jalen Ramsey paid, got Buda Baker paid, Casey Hayward, young brother out of Austin doing unbelievable things. I love Deshaun.
He's having a good run.
He's having a great run. And consider Jalen Ramsey just got 71 at the time of signing. And you talk about they wanted to give Dak Prescott $80 million, and their DB just got 71. Ooh. Dak says, I'm about to get me about 120.
The Rams keep doing Rams things.
There you go. We got to have superstars in that big old $5 billion pay plan, Skip. We got to have some superstars.
Except that quarterback.
Yeah, stop. I ain't taking nobody over Mahomes. Mahomes is just not the best quarterback in the NFL. He's the best player in the NFL. Skip, he right now is Mahomes, and then you can do whatever you want for second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, on yada, yada, yada. It's Mahomes. He's in the category by himself right now. That's where he is. There's nothing that he can't do. He showed he has legs. Now, is he as elusive as Deshaun? No. Is he as elusive as Lamar Jackson? No. But Skip, he has no weakness. There's not a throw that he can't make. He can throw it 60 yards. He can throw the out. He can throw the comeback. He can throw the over. He can do it all. And he's more mobile. And you saw, we ain't got that tape. Did we got that 40-yard TD run in the playoffs against Tennessee? You remember that? Do I need to show it to you again?
No, I don't want to see it. It would hurt your case if you try to show that tape.
And the last time we saw these two matched up, Deshaun got out to a 24-0 lead, and then Mahomes scored on 7 straight possessions, down by double digit in 3 straight playoff games, and to come back and win those games by double digits. Right now, Skip, Mahomes is the gold standard at the quarterback position. But not only is he the best quarterback in the NFL, he's the best player in the NFL.
I cannot argue with what Patrick Mahomes has accomplished. It's in the bank as well as his new salaries in the bank.
Yep.
But I have long been a Deshaun fan.
Yeah.
He won me over in both of those national championship games against St. Nick's defense. He was virtually unstoppable in both games.
He was.
He barely took the L in the first one, and then he said, no, not this time.
Not this time.
And he hit little Hunter Renfrow, last play of the game, to win it. Touchdown. And what won me over was how he competes. His intangibles are extraordinary to me.
Oh,
He's got winners' intangibles. He will fight you to the death. We saw him make that play against Buffalo.
Yep.
Where
they had him dead to
rushers,
right.
and they sort of ran into each other, but he escaped, and he flipped it, and you know the rest of the story.
Correct.
Game over. And I look at what happened when he went, again, he's going back to this same house tonight. It's Patrick Mahomes' house. Well, he went there mid-year last year, and he outplayed Patrick in that game.
Yeah.
He had a QBR of 92 in that game, scale of 0 to 100, and Patrick was 56 in that one. And just for the record, last year, nobody had more game-winning fourth-quarter drives than Deshaun Watson.
Right.
He had 5. That led the NFL. Nobody was more efficient completing 15-plus yard passes than Deshaun Watson was. He was a dart thrower. Now, he had DeAndre, obviously, and he's going to miss DeAndre. But here's the advantage. The ultimate advantage is your guy has Andy Reid, and this guy's stuck with Bill O'Brien. And I think
Who traded DeAndre Hopkins for his running back?
Yeah, way to go, Bill. Again, I've been around Bill. I think he's a nice guy. I don't think he's a great commander-in-chief and a great play caller. I don't even know if he's calling the plays, but he oversees that offense.
Yeah, he oversees everything. He's the general manager,
He is
too.
the GM also. I'll take Andy Reid over Bill O'Brien any day. And I think it really benefits your guy to have that comfort zone around him, because Andy Reid is, what a sweet guy he is. And once he believes in you.
He is. Andy's great.
Hey,
Red is great.
He's just great. He's just a good man.
He is.
And he is putting this young man in such a great comfort zone because he is very clever offensively. He will come up with lots of nuances, and I'm sure they got some new tricks in their bag.
Yeah, people don't realize how long Andy's been around. Andy was my brother's offensive coordinator in Green Bay.
Yep.
So Andy goes back, and Coach Holmgren brought him with him from San Francisco.
Wow.
So Andy's been around for a minute, Skip. But like you always tell me, what does your eyes tell you? When you watch him play, and Deshaun Watson is great, but what do your eyes tell you?
I see better intangibles in Deshaun. I see the better arm and not athletic ability, like quarterback ability. I get it. He looks more like a classic thrower of football. I got it.
Skip, I want you to look. I'm going to say it really slow because I really want to make sure I enunciate and hit this correctly, because I'm going to go back to my days when I was working with these speech therapists. Say it with me. Patrick Mahomes is a better player. It's that simple. You can do intangibles, you can do foot speed, you can do whatever you want. Mahomes is a better player, and that's okay. That's not a knock. That's not a knock on Deshaun Watson, because I believe Deshaun Watson is a top 5, top 6 quarterback. That's not a knock on him. But everybody knows that. Everybody, you know that.
Man, he will compete.
Yes.
Crazy.
Skip.
Who has the better weapons? Obviously. Skip. Better coach, better weapons.
Yes, but Skip, here's the thing.
Does that make him the better quarterback? I'm not sure about
Skip,
that.
let me ask you a question. Down 24-0. Is that competing? You was down by what, 14? You were down 14 against the Titans. I mean, to the Titans. Is that competing? You were down 10.
You keep saying glass is half full there. You sure it's not half empty? Because they just keep falling way behind. He has something to do with that, some responsibility.
Yes, but you saw what happened early in the game against the Texans. A lot of drops. Once they started holding on to the ball, it was boom, boom, boom. 7 straight times, Skip. 7 straight.
Okay, so let's take one last quick look at that Super Bowl last year.
Oh,
Were you really sold on what you saw from Patrick Mahomes?
Yes!
They're down 20-10 late in the third quarter. Could we see this interception thrown by the best player in the league, Patrick Mahomes?
So now he came through an interception.
Okay, it's 20-10 49ers at this point. Late third. This is starting to get to money time. And whoops, that's just a bad idea. Did you not see him, Pat? Whew. Okay. And then they're down 20-10 still, early fourth quarter. Is this still the same one? Yes, it's the same one. Now, here we go, 20-10, early fourth, and he throws it wild low.
Well, he was trying to protect Reek. Because you know the guy that you see that safety buzzing down?
Yep.
He was going to peel his cap. So he tried to slow him up.
It was a bad throw.
No. Hold on, Skip. Now, I know a guy.
Okay, you should have lost the Super Bowl on those 2 interceptions.
Yeah.
I'm going to say it again. Jimmy G is going 3 of 11 in the fourth quarter for 36 total yards and an interception, and missed Emmanuel Sanders at the goal line late in the game that would have won the game.
Yeah, your guy threw an interception. The score was 21-3. He threw an interception that went back 80-plus to made it 28-3.
Who's my guy?
You know who your guy is.
I don't even know who it is.
You do.
I don't know
They
what
were
you're
down
talking about.
21-3. He threw an interception that made it 28-3. He also threw an interception.
Oh, you're talking about the Super Bowl against Atlanta?
Yes.
Okay.
So, Skip, it's about overcoming. Yes, Skip, I don't know if there's ever been a Super Bowl where the quarterback or any player has played great every single snap. It's about overcoming. And that's why Deshaun, he might not play great all the time, but he finds a way. As you mentioned, he had 5 game-winning drives last year, which were the most in the NFL. So that tells you, well, you come from behind, that means you had to play bad at some point in time, or else you wouldn't have been behind, right?
Did Patrick Mahomes not get away with the luckiest play in the Super Bowl on 3rd and long? This is the play of the game. Can we see it one more time? I got to see it one more time.
He called it.
He's got a rusher in his face, and he sort of, no look, just flings it into the flat. Uh-oh, I got to throw this. And it's a punt, and Tyreek stops, comes back, waves for a fair catch.
He goes to the sideline. He asks his offensive coordinator, do we have time for that? He turns to Andy. He wants this. Andy said, well, give it to him. He said, I know I'm going to need a little extra time.
What do they call that, lucky play on one?
That ain't going to lucky play on one. And then, Skip, he's retreating.
Yep.
I don't know but 2 guys that could have gotten that play off. One's in Wisconsin, and the other's in Kansas City. Those are the only 2 guys that can make that throw.
Well, there's that guy in Tampa Bay. But
First of all, that guy, he had to punt it. He'd have definitely had to punt it because ain't no way he going to throw off his back foot.
He might have literally punted it.
Yeah, exactly. Because ain't no way he backpedaling, throwing off his back foot, and heaving that ball 40 yards. That ain't happening.
Final point. I still say, if they traded places, I think Deshaun could do Mahomes things.
You're probably right.
Yep.
You're probably right. I'm not denying that. Just like, oh, I'm glad you said that. So, in other words, if Aaron Rodgers had been in New England with Coach Belichick, he would have 7, 8 Super. Okay, I'm glad you said that. Thanks for saying.
The guy who hadn't been to a Super Bowl in 10 years.
There you go. Switch places.
We got his coach now, so we're going to the Super Bowl. Oh, it doesn't work that way.
No, it does not.
Oh, okay.
It does not.
I'm just glad we've got football tonight, guys. It feels like the longest offseason since we were back in Miami all together. It feels like a different lifetime. So Chiefs-Texans tonight. And, of course, we do have games this weekend. Make sure you get your Super 6 picks in before kickoff on Sunday for your chance to win Terry Bradshaw's $100,000. Yeah, that'd be nice.
No mercy.
In ESPN's latest cover story with Deshaun Watson, the Texans quarterback discussed the racial bias against the intelligence of black QBs. Watson said, quote, whenever a black quarterback speaks up, the outside world sometimes doesn't think they're educated enough to know what's going on. So in reality, they're like, hey, y'all black quarterbacks, shut up. Y'all don't know what y'all talking about. Shannon, does he have a point here?
Yeah. And plus, he's speaking from firsthand experience. He's telling you something that he's lived. Skip, for the longest time, it was said black quarterbacks can't process information fast enough. They can't think on their feet like their counterpart. Skip, I grew up where I was more talented. I could throw the ball farther. I was accurate. I was more athletic, but I had to play a different position because the white guy needed to be the quarterback because he wasn't as athletic. He wasn't as good as I was. So you play that position. That's what happens. Think about how many guys have had to switch positions. The majority of the receivers in the NFL, Skip, they play quarterback in high school. Or cornerbacks. That's what they play. They play quarterback.
I agree.
And they have to switch positions. Look, and the thing is, Skip, there have been a lot of Lamar Jacksons that's come up in the last 50 years in the NFL that could have played quarterback. But because, well, you make a great wide receiver, you'll make a great running back, maybe you should switch to defensive back.
Some thought Lamar should have played.
Yes! Yes, the man won the MVP, and there was a general manager that's in the Hall of Fame said he should be a wide receiver. So,
and I'm sure he wasn't alone.
No. But that just goes to show you, Skip. Think about the guys that he's drafted. So he comes with a lot of credibility because of his draft background. You look at what he did in Buffalo. They went to 4 straight Super Bowls. Tremendous drafts. You look at what he did in Indy.
You're talking about Bill Polian.
Correct. So for me, Skip, and that's the thing. So he's telling you what he's lived. He's telling you firsthand knowledge. So before you become dismissed, he's telling you what he's lived, Skip. And that happens a lot. A black athlete speak out, shut up and dribble. White athlete says something, should we hear him out?
Okay.
Somebody from my very network said that very same thing. LeBron James and other athletes were speaking out.
Not exactly your network, but close enough.
Close enough. Shut up and dribble. Drew Brees said something.
Yeah.
Shouldn't we hear him out? Well, why should they shut up? Why isn't LeBron educated enough? Because that was the term. You're not a politician. Why should he be quiet?
Yep.
So Deshaun Watson said that's what happens. If we say something, we're not educated enough. We shouldn't do this. So for me, he's just telling you from firsthand experience things that he's gone through and what he's felt. And I'm sure he's talked to some of the other black quarterbacks, and I'm sure they can tell. Lamar Jackson can just tell you about this draft story about 3 years ago. His mama had to come out with a story. What did she say, Skip? He's a quarterback. He's playing quarterback.
Yep. I'm glad Deshaun spoke up and spoke out about this. Powerful quotes, especially in the context of what I hope is our racial awakening in this country.
Right.
Just a new racial sensitivity in this country. Okay, now my firsthand experience. This is why this is so ironic to me. I started out in this profession, the media business, out here in Los Angeles for the Times as a quote-unquote cub reporter back in the 1970s. Who were 2 of the first black quarterbacks I dealt with? One was Vince Evans at USC. I don't know if people remember Vince. He lasted in the NFL almost 20 years.
He did.
He was a starting quarterback for the Bears and sometimes starting quarterback for the Raiders.
He was with the Raiders when I got in the league.
He was in the USFL for a while, but Vince Evans was the MVP of the Rose Bowl one year when I was covering USC. Trust me on this. He was as fun. He was my go-to interview because he was dynamic. He was a powerhouse. He was a quote machine, and he had wisdom and insight way beyond his years. That's who I wanted to talk to when I was covering the Trojans was Vince Evans.
Right.
And then I got to cover a game featuring a young man named Warren Moon who went to Hamilton High School here in West Los Angeles and played up at Washington. And I covered a big game, Washington State, and I got to talk at some length after the game to young Warren Moon, who was dynamic. He was a powerfully spoken, smart young man who was forced to go to Canada to prove himself in your league and wound up in the Hall of Fame where he belonged. But my point to you was, these are 2 of the sharpest young men, I don't care what color they were, you will ever cross paths with in college football. Trust me on that. Both of them, go-to speakers and leaders.
And Skip,
okay?
the thing what people don't realize, both of them could throw the ball. It wasn't like they were running the wishbone. Warren Moon was as good a passer coming out of college as any white quarterback that we've had coming out of college.
Okay, and then to your point, somewhere along that trail, I was sent, as I've told you before, a week to Grambling, Louisiana, to hang out and get to know this young man named Doug Williams, who looked like he was going to be the first pick in the draft.
Right.
Unfortunately, he fell in the draft because one prominent GM I called to get some quotes on him said, off the record, he doesn't have the mental capabilities to play this position in our league.
Right.
Well, that was the prevailing opinion.
Right.
And in some cases, it still is.
Skip, what was the general manager in baseball that says the reason why you don't have black
Al Campanis? Yes.
Skip, that was a prevailing theme, not just for quarterbacks, but black men couldn't think, couldn't process information like white, couldn't think as fast on their feet as white. That was the prevailing theme, Skip. So for people to say, oh, I never understood. And people, I check my timeline and say, Shannon, you making it worse by bringing it up. Skip, I've never heard a cure for any disease is by not talking about it. The doctor says, Shannon, you got cancer. And I said, hopefully, knock on wood, I don't. He says, what? I said, well, doc, what treatment we gonna do? We're not gonna talk about it. We're not gonna treat it. I want you to come back and see me in 6 months. You think I'm gonna get better, Skip?
Okay.
So how does not talking about racism, how does that make it go away?
Okay, so just for the record, the Donovan McNabb I got to know, I did not want him to shut up and dribble. I wanted him to talk.
Right.
Okay? Because I learned a lot from him.
Wasn't Donovan classy? And they booed the brakes off when they announced the pick because they wanted Ricky. If I'm not mistaken, they wanted Ricky Williams. They booed the brakes on him. Philly did. Donovan was the class personified.
Oh, you got that?
Carried himself with, never had a bad word to say about
dignity.
So this notion about acting certain, it doesn't matter.
Okay. Do you want Russell Wilson to shut up and dribble? No. Did we want Colin Kaepernick to shut up and dribble? No. I didn't. I wanted to hear a lot more from him.
A lot did. But we didn't. But we were ahead of the curve, Skip. Because when this came out, because like I said, we had our anniversary September 6th, which was I think that was a Saturday, would have been our 4-year anniversary. And that kind of fell in our lap. And to your credit, because I thought we were going to talk about it one day and move on, that was it. And we kept going. And I knew we were on the right side of history.
On the right side, and we were ahead of it.
Ahead of it. And so now, but for me, Skip, I never, when someone speaks from a firsthand experience, I got to take him at his word because he lived that life. So if someone tells you something that they lived, listen to him. Don't be dismissive. Don't, and they're like, how you know? You can't tell me what it's like to grow up like I grew up with no endo plumbing, no running water, eating what I ate. You can't tell me what it's like because you didn't do it.
Yeah. And sometimes people confuse a country dialect or accent with you don't know what you're talking about.
That is absolutely correct. Wrong.
I agree with you guys. It's like, how can we have progress without having conversations? I mean, isn't that the whole point of moving forward and changing the issues that we're already dealing with? I appreciate how you guys never shy away from these conversations. I really, really do. We're going to go back to the bubble, talk a little bit Rockets, Lakers. You know, the Rockets might be actually without a key player tonight, and there is more to this story.
No mercy.
Rockets forward Danuel House may be out for tonight's Game 4 against the Lakers as the NBA looks into a potential violation of bubble protocol. House allegedly allowed a female COVID-19 testing official into his hotel room and could be facing a 10-day quarantine. Shannon, big deal or no big deal for the Rockets? What do you think?
I mean, what the problem, Skip? I mean, he wanted a COVID test. Okay, she came. He didn't want to go down to the station. I do blood work, Skip. When I get a physical, I have a phlebotomist come to the house. They draw my blood, and then they say, that's how I do it. I'm on convenience. I'm all about convenience. Man, Dad, you know better. Skip, look. It's not like Houston go 9-10 deep. They're not the Clippers. They're not even the Lakers. At least Frankie V playing 9 guys.
Yep.
You play 6, maybe 7. I mean, you play 7, maybe 8.
More 7-ish.
Exactly.
Yes.
Maybe on a good night you might play 8, and that guy might get 10 minutes, Skip. And so now if you take House out of the lineup, Skip, you already got 6 guys playing 35+ minutes a night.
Okay, let me explain to you once again how big a deal this is. I found this quote from Mike D'Antoni the day before Danuel House's bubble burst.
Okay.
This is when he's still afloat down in the bubble.
Right.
And Mike D'Antoni said of Danuel House, I think he's blossoming into one of the better players in the league. He's playing with a lot of energy athletically, making great decisions on defense and offense. I tried to tell you yesterday, he had become a key cog in whatever Houston does, this weird amalgamation of small ball and three-point shooting, which we've never seen anything like. He was crucial because he's 6'6", 220, and athletic and can shoot threes and can defend even a LeBron for moments. He can bother LeBron a little bit because he's so strong and athletic. So against the Thunder, I pointed out to you, he had 3 big games against the Thunder in the previous playoff series, 19-9, 15 points and 10 rebounds, 21-6. And in game 2 against the Lakers, he had a 13-5 night playing smaller minutes, like 20 minutes.
Right.
Well, if you take him out of a team that's shallow to begin with, all of a sudden you're like, whoops.
Right.
Now, Austin Rivers has not played well, and I don't know why, because he had that one outburst, 41, was
and
it?
he hadn't played well since
He
that
hasn't
game.
looked like he's found any rhythm against the Lakers so far. But he better now, because this hurts them badly. And think about this. You've been on teams before where you're ready for the big game, and you go to the locker room, and you hear, what?
What?
He's out?
What happened?
He's our guy. What just happened? I heard that this happened.
What happened between shoot around and now?
Yes, what just happened? and I'm assuming, is he done for the playoff? I don't know how the rules are. I mean, you would probably have to go into quarantine for about 4 days. But you would think the tester is, I mean, she had to get on there, so she have to pass all these protocols. We don't skip out. I mean, you know, I get a lot of jokes you could make, but hey. Well, I got it. But now, Robert Covington, it looked like he got his nose broken.
Well, no, he said no broken nose, no concussion.
So no broken nose?
Right.
Well, is he going to have to wear a literal mask, not a COVID mask, but a plastic mask? I don't know.
I don't know. Ben McLemore hadn't played a whole bunch this series.
He has not.
So it's going to be very, very interesting because Covington's in the starting lineup. So if you're playing 7 and Austin Rivers and Ben McLemore are basically playing 10 minutes, so you might go down to 6. So if you go down to 6 players, they're gonna be playing more than 35 minutes.
It's advantage Lakers. You should win this game by 15.
Well, Skip,
come on, 15 at least, maybe 20.
Don't do that.
You should cakewalk this time.
That's not what we do.
Miss Trip Dub should visit the bubble.
We don't talk about what we're gonna do. We just go out there and play. We're not a showy team. We don't pound our chest. No, we don't do all this celebrating.
Showboating team.
We don't front run. That ain't what we do.
That's what you do best.
No.
Front run.
Let's get about look.
Congratulations, you're on to the next round.
Ah, there you go. See, I know what you're trying to do. You try to jinx us so you can come in here tomorrow. There were 5 guys. The clip, they only played 4 guys. You got to bring that home.
He may have to play his starters 48 minutes. 48.
But like you say, okay.
Okay, good. Way to go. Congratulations.
No mercy.
The Raptors continue to claw their way back into the series against the Celtics. And remember, Toronto was down 0-2 earlier in the series, headed into last night down 3-2. But then they pulled off a double overtime win to force a Game 7. And I love a good Game 7. Shannon, how surprised are you that Toronto has come back in this series down 0-2?
I'm very surprised because they were 0.5 seconds away from being down 0-3. And they fought their way back. And seemingly what happened, Skip, when Kyle Lowry played well, they win. When he doesn't play well, because Pascal Siakam and Marc Gasol haven't given them anything this series.
No, especially Siakam.
Especially Siakam, he's their all-star.
Yep.
But when Kyle Lowry plays well, good things happen. And they got Powell. Norman Powell played unbelievable down the stretch, and in the overtime, he got 10 in the second overtime.
He did.
But I still believe in Boston. I think Boston win in 7.
You have liked Boston all year more than I have. But I must say, that was as intense a playoff basketball game as I've seen in a long time. It was far more physical than that Denver-Utah shootout that we used to see back and forth between those two teams. Here's my take on this series. Both teams are flawed. That's why it's coming down to Game 7.
Yes.
Because they're both missing a superstar. There's no Kawhi anymore, obviously, in Toronto. And Kemba, to me, is not Kyrie.
No.
He's a good player, but why was he in Charlotte all those years and they went nowhere, right? He's not Kyrie.
But Kemba fits better with these young guys than Kyrie.
I got it, but they needed Kemba last night to just take it over. Do what Kyrie, you know, Kyrie can be a problem off the court. You know, he can throw the team under the bus. He can alienate. But, hey, is there a better closer? I mean, will anybody make more clutch shots than Kyrie Irving? No.
I mean, you would think, I mean, look at all these guys. Jason Tatum had 29. Jaylen Brown had 31. Marcus Smart had 23 in a triple-dub. Tice had 18. And they still lose.
Okay, but
because
that took
Kemba.
2 overtimes to do that.
Because Kemba. If Kemba scores 10 points, they win this ball game.
He came up even smaller than he is, and he's a small man.
He came up small. He gonna pay it off. He'll pay it off.
Well,
they're doubling him, Skip, getting the ball out of his hands, but he's got to pay this off. He'll pay it off.
Kyle Lowry's got guts.
Yeah, he is. That shot he made, there's nothing else Kemba could have done.
Well, nothing to lose at that point. I mean, Toronto's got some good momentum, guys. That is it for Undisputed. Thank you for joining us. We're back at the same time tomorrow morning.